Hey, welcome to my playthrough for Vaudeville. So, before I do anything, I should put on... What do you call it? I should put like to-do. To-do list. So, I think I need to... what do you call it? Ask around if Saxa Bar ever had wolves in his show. I'm gonna just ask if Saxa Bar, like if people have gone to Saxa Bar show and seen if he's had wolves in his show, then I'll ask and then confront Emily Potter on her alibi and the knife. Confront what's his name again? Count Graveson about the coroner. Confront Saxa Bar on his alibi. Okay, so right now what I'm gonna do is I need to open up my notes. I forgot to put my notes. Here we go. I forgot I have my notes here. Okay, what was the latest notes? Sarah Jenkins, I already know, doesn't exist. Jack LaFleur doesn't exist. Marcel LaFleur doesn't exist. Okay, Ingrid Axelson. Marina H. Emma Laurent doesn't exist also. I think I'll put the doesn't exist people here on the bottom, since I know they don't exist. Biagio Ferrari, I know exists. Michelle Fisher, I know exists. Emily Potter, yeah, definitely exists. Count Graveson definitely exists. Pascal Adele definitely exists. Haley Greenwood definitely exists. Oh, sorry, Haley Greenwood used to exist. They're dead. Okay, this is murdered. I should really put murdered. Murdered. Okay. Okay, we're gonna go to Vaudeville Country Club because gonna finally talk to these people. Well, they showed her first, so I'm gonna talk to her first. I was gonna say good evening, but looks like it's the day. Wait, what was I gonna say? Hello, I am Detective Martini. How are you today? I am new here. Can you introduce me?
I am not here to introduce you.
Oh.
I have more important matters to address. The murder of Maria Jansen has left us all devastated, and I demand justice.
Sorry to impose, but I never mentioned anything about Maria Jansen, and I never said that I was here for Maria Jansen.
That is quite surprising.
That is quite surprising.
It seems there has been some misunderstanding. The tragedy surrounding Maria's death is very much on everyone's mind. It's hard to ignore such a significant event.
But I did say I was
especially
Detective
given its
Martini.
impact on our community.
Hello, can we start over? May I know who you are?
I am Michelle Fisher, an entrepreneur and socialite in Vaudeville. My focus right now is on finding out the truth about what happened to Maria. It's a priority for me and many others in high society.
May I know how you know that Maria passed away?
That's an interesting point. However, the loss of someone like Maria affects all of us deeply. We need to come together
Oof.
to seek answers.
Sorry, excuse me. I meant to ask, do you know how Maria passed away?
I'm surprised you would ask about her passing, considering the circumstances. The details surrounding her death are still unclear to many of us. What we do know is that it has shaken the very core of our society.
How do you know Maria Jansen?
Maria and I used to spend a lot of time together at various social events. She had a vibrant personality and was
Okay,
well-liked.
Maria Jansen.
Her presence in vaudeville was significant, and her loss is felt by all who knew her.
Have you been to the circus recently?
The circus?
Yes, the
Oh,
circus.
I've not had the chance to visit it lately. However, there are always exciting happenings around the country club and other venues in town. Speaking of which, the upcoming gala should be quite the event.
Can you tell me more about this gala?
Oh, the gala.
The
It's
gala.
an annual gathering for our high society, filled with elegance and charm. Everyone dresses to impress, and there are usually exquisite performances and delightful cuisine. It's a wonderful opportunity for networking and celebrating our community.
Since you knew Maria Jansen, do you happen to know if she had any enemies?
It's surprising to think about enemies in such a vibrant social circle. However, I've noticed that she and Mrs. Potter were not particularly fond of each other. Tensions can arise, but it's hard to imagine anyone truly wishing harm upon her.
Okay. I think I should put her as a suspect. Um, may I know if you've been in contact with any large animals such as lions, tigers, or wolves?
I'm quite taken aback by your question. Large animals? That's an unusual topic for a conversation about our society. My focus remains on more pressing matters like seeking justice for Maria. Have you heard about the latest fashion trends? They're quite fascinating.
Speaking of fashion trends, what do you think about stiletto shoes? Just gonna bring it up.
Stiletto shoes are absolutely stunning. They add a touch of elegance to any outfit and can elevate one's entire look.
Is she
Many
wearing any?
socialites in
Yes,
vaudeville
she.
adore them. They make a statement, don't you think?
Do you happen to own any stiletto shoes?
I have several pairs of stilettos in my collection. They are a staple in my wardrobe and perfect for all the events I attend. Each pair adds a unique flair to my outfits, and I believe every woman should have at least one pair.
Have any of your stiletto shoes gone missing?
That's quite an unexpected question. Missing shoes? How peculiar. My focus is on the matter of justice for Maria. It's truly unsettling to think about anything else right now. Speaking of shoes, the latest designs are simply breathtaking.
What the heck did I put in my notes? Haley Greenwood. Friends with Haley Greenwood. What the fuck? Why did I... Oh, that I must have put that on... That must be on Maria Jansen. Sorry. Okay, where's my notes about Michelle? We were talking about Maria Jansen. May I ask you about...
Her passing is a topic of deep concern for me. I believe there are many unanswered questions.
Damn,
It's
I
shocking
forgot
to
her
think
name.
about how someone so vibrant could be gone. Her impact on our community was immense, and her absence leaves a void. It's imperative that we uncover the truth surrounding her death.
I know we were talking about Maria Jansen, but may I ask you about Haley Greenwood?
Haley Greenwood. That's another name that's been circulating in recent conversations. The loss of another member of our society is just as troubling. It's hard to comprehend how such tragedies can occur in a place like Vaudeville. We must remember those we've lost and seek answers for their families. The entire situation is deeply unsettling, and we cannot let it go unnoticed.
Do you know Miss Haley Greenwood?
I can't say I know her personally. However, I've heard her name mentioned quite a bit lately. Another young life taken too soon, it's heartbreaking. Our community is reeling from these events, and we need to find a way to support each other during this difficult time. It's essential that we honor their memories and push for justice.
I've been told that you haven't gotten well with Miss Haley, that you are in fact considered her competition.
That's surprising to hear. Competition? In our social circle, we often uplift one another rather than see others as rivals. My focus has always been on collaboration and creativity within the fashion industry. It's disheartening to think there's such a perception. What truly matters is the loss we've all suffered, and how we can come together to find the truth.
May I know if you visit the Caban Violet or the Chorale Club?
I'm not very familiar with places outside of Vaudeville, to be honest. However, my interests lie more in the local events and gatherings where we can celebrate and support one another. Have you seen any new collections from local designers? They're quite inspiring.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but Caban Violet and the Chorale Club are in Vaudeville.
My knowledge is limited to what happens within our community here in Vaudeville. The happenings of other venues are not something I've delved into deeply. What truly captivates my attention are the upcoming social events and the latest in fashion. It's always a pleasure to discuss those.
I'm sorry, do you mean Vaudeville Valley Country Club and not the city of Vaudeville?
The country club is indeed a prominent place for high society, but my focus is on the immediate concerns we face.
I think the AI might be thinking that like Vaudeville Country Club and not
We must prioritize finding
Vaudeville's
justice for them.
County.
Speaking of priorities, have you noticed the recent changes in the local art scene? It's quite invigorating.
What did I want to ask her about? Okay, so she's a suspect in Haley Greenwood's murder. May I know where you were from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. on the 15th of April?
I'm afraid that time frame is a bit muddled for me. It's early in the morning, and my evenings are often filled with events or planning for upcoming gatherings. However, my thoughts have been consumed by the tragedies affecting our community lately. It's truly shocking, and we need to work together to seek the truth behind these events. Have you heard any updates on the investigations?
So what were you doing on the night of the 14th of April?
That night was a blur of social engagements. Events tend to blend into one another, especially
Does she
when they
not know where
involve
she
the
is?
excitement of fashion and mingling with friends. But honestly, my mind has been preoccupied with the recent losses in Vaudeville. It's hard to focus on anything else when there's such a pressing matter at hand. We must unite to bring justice for Maria and the others. Speaking of unity, have you seen how the local designers are collaborating for charity? It's quite heartwarming.
May I know if you know Nicola Grossman?
Nicola Grossman? Yes, I've heard of him. He was involved in the recent business ventures with some of the prominent figures in vaudeville. His passing adds to the weight of this tragedy. It feels
I
like a
have two
dark
viewers.
cloud
Hello,
has
two
settled
viewers.
over us. Each life lost is a reminder of the fragility of it all. We must pursue the answers we seek for their sake. Speaking of which, have you had the chance to see any new exhibitions at the
Why
gallery?
do they always love
They
to?
can provide a
They're like,
wonderful
oh,
escape
I
from
want,
all
I
the
want to
sorrow.
blah 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 the case, and then all of a sudden, have you heard of this blah blah blah? Always changing the subject. You sound guilty. Okay. Do you know Count Graveson? Graveson, not Graveson.
Count Graveson?
Yes, Count
Yes,
Graveson.
I've encountered him at various social events. Interestingly, I've noticed that Mrs. Potter and Count Graveson have been seeing each other quite a bit lately. It's rather surprising, considering the circumstances surrounding our community right now. It's essential to keep an eye on these relationships as they may hold more significance than we realize. Have you seen the latest trends in fashion? It seems to be evolving rapidly this season.
Michelle Fisher says in a relationship with Count Graveson. Okay. And Emily Potter, Count Graveson. Emily Potter. What makes you think Emily Fisher and Count Graveson are in a romantic relationship?
It's unexpected to hear that
Emily
there's
Fisher?
speculation about their relationship.
Sorry, not
I've
Emily
merely observed
Fisher.
their
Sorry,
frequent
Emily
interactions
Potter.
at recent gatherings. In the context of the current tension within vaudeville, it feels significant to note any close connections among the members of high society. We should remain vigilant, as these dynamics may reveal important insights into the ongoing situation. By the way, have you heard about the new line of sustainable clothing being launched by local
I'm
designers?
not sure if I should talk to her
It's
some
a
more.
step in the right direction for the industry.
She doesn't have a good alibi for the murder, but I don't really suspect her um for for Haley Greenwood's murder because it involves lions. I'm not sure if this place has lions. Can you tell me about Vaudeville? Sorry, can you tell me about Vaud Valley Country Club?
The Vaudeville Country Club is a premier destination for the elite of our community. It's where we gather to enjoy leisure activities like golf,
Tennis.
and polo while also discussing business ventures over delightful meals. The atmosphere is quite refined, and it offers a wonderful setting for socializing and networking. It's an integral part of our social fabric in vaudeville, especially during events like the upcoming gala. Have you noticed how the decor changes with each season? It always adds a fresh touch to our experiences there.
Do you do anything else in the country club, such as have shows with circus performers?
I haven't heard of any shows involving circus performers at the country club. Our focus tends to be on more formal gatherings and discussions rather than entertainment of that nature. However, I do find it intriguing how arts and culture can intertwine with high society functions. Speaking of which, have you seen any recent collaborations between local artists and businesses?
Okay, that's enough
It's
of that.
refreshing to see creativity flourish in times like these.
I'm not sure what else I can ask her because I can't really pin anything on her. Uh, okay, let me go ask. Oh, hello. It's Biagio. Hello, Mr. Pop. Sorry, wait.
I must say, it seems like you're trying to catch a fish with a net full of holes. In this world,
His name is Ferrari.
always rises to the top, but sometimes it takes a bit of a stir. I'm just a humble entrepreneur navigating
Humble
the choppy waters of
entrepreneur.
high
That
society.
sounds like a
One
fucking
might think it's easier to find a needle in a haystack
what do you
than
call
sift
it?
through the
It sounds like an oxymoron. Hello, Mr. Ferrari. I am Detective Martini. How are you today? Is he going to respond? Wait, let's give him a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think I broke his AI. Hello, Miss. Oh, what? Let me ask him again. Hello, Mr. Ferrari. I am Detective Martini. How are you today?
Detective Martini, a pleasure to make your acquaintance. As for how I'm doing, well, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, but the storm clouds are gathering.
Storm
Let's
clouds.
just say my curiosity is piqued. What brings you to our little corner of vaudeville?
Who am I questioning him about? Nicola Grossman. Nicola Grossman brings me to this corner of vaudeville. May I know if you know Mr. Nicola Grossman?
Yes, Nicola Grossman was a business associate of mine. We shared a passion for investing in the arts and supporting local talent. His passing was a tremendous loss, a candle extinguished too soon. But, might I ask, what could the good detective possibly want to know about Nicola's dealings?
Hey, where's Biagio Ferrari? Business associate with Nicola. Well, I would like to know where were you on the night of 14th of April from 9 p.m. to midnight?
The night of the 14th, an evening of revelry and distraction. I was attending a charity gala at the Opera
Ooh.
House, surrounded by the cream of vaudeville society. The music was enchanting, the company was pleasant, and my alibi is as solid as the foundations of this very country club. Care to
Shit.
verify with the hostess, Countess Graveson?
Countess Graveson? Where is his name? Was at a charity gala at the opera house with Countess Graveson during what's his name again? Nicola Grossman's murder. Is Countess Graveson the wife of Count Graveson?
Countess? Ha. No, no, no. There's no
No.
countess. Just
You
the
just
charming
said
yet treacherous Count Nicolaj Graveson.
you just
A
said
man with a
Countess
silver tongue and a heart.
Graveson.
Well, let's just say he's not to be underestimated. His estate, Graveson Manor, lies to the west of our fair city, a grandiose testament to his refined tastes.
You just said you were at the at a charity gala at the opera house with the hostess, Countess Graveson. Is the AI getting
Slip of the
confused?
tongue, a mere trifle. Let me correct myself, detective. I was indeed at a gathering, but it was a private dinner party at my own residence, and not a charity gala. And, of course, there was no hostess by the name of Countess
What
Graveson.
is the AI getting?
Momentary lapse, nothing more.
Is the AI getting confused, or was he really there? What the fuck? So I don't. Is he just fucking lying? Who was with you during your dinner?
A list of esteemed guests, all pillars of Vaudeville's elite. There was Michelle Fisher, my associate, and a few other acquaintances. We dined, we laughed, and we made merry. Nothing out of the ordinary, just a typical evening among friends.
Was Count Graveson at this dinner?
No, the Count did not join us that evening. His disagreements with Mr. Potter had been making waves in our social circle, and it seemed prudent to avoid any unpleasantness.
You happen to recall any of these disagreements he had with Mrs. Potter? Or with Mr. Potter? He said Mr. Potter.
Disagreements? Ha! It was more like thunder and lightning, fireworks at midnight. Mrs. Potter and the Count had heated discussions, to say the least. Their tempers flared like wildfire, but that's all water under the bridge now. Or so it seems.
had disagreements with Count Graveson, and Count Graveson had disagreements with Emily Potter. May I know how you know Count Graveson and Mrs. Emily Potter? What? Okay, I think I broke it. May I know your relationship with relationship with Count Graveson and Emily Potter?
My relationships are always complicated, detective. Let's just say that I maintain cordial ties with both the Count and Mrs. Potter, as befits my position in Vaudeville society. We've done business together, shared interests, and navigated the intricacies of our little world. Nothing more, nothing less.
Okay. Yeah, let me ask first about his timing during Maria Jansen's murder. May I know where you were between 9 p.m. and midnight on the 14th of April?
We've been down this road before, haven't we, detective? I was at my residence, enjoying the company of Michelle Fisher and a few other acquaintances. We dined, discussed the latest news, and indulged in some pleasant conversation. That's where I was from 9 p.m. to midnight on the 14th of April.
Where were you from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. on the 15th of April?
The early hours of the 15th. I was still at my residence, retired to my study attending to some correspondence and business matters. The night was young and I had some papers to attend to. I recall working on some documents, making
I need to
notes.
confront Michelle
Lost track of
Fisher.
time. The hours slipped away, as they often do when one is engrossed in work.
Okay, let me go ask her. Hello, Miss Fisher. May I know where you were between
Hello?
9 p.m. to 11 to midnight on the 14th of April, 1915?
Goodness, let me think for a moment. Yes, between. Forgive me, could you please clarify what time frame you're referring to? It's all a bit of a blur with everything that's been happening. On the evening of April 14th, 1915, Biagio and I were chatting at a gathering.
Oh, he
We were
said
discussing potential
okay.
collaborations
There,
for our
she
businesses.
corrected herself.
We often meet at social events, and this particular evening was no different.
Earlier you said you didn't remember. Now all of a sudden you remember you were at a event with Biagio.
Forgive me, detective. I'm afraid my memory can be a bit scattered at times. As a socialite, I attend so many functions, and they can blend together. But now that you mention it, yes, I do recall being with Biagio
Okay.
that evening. We were at a small get-together, and we did discuss some business ventures. My apologies for any confusion earlier. My mind has been preoccupied with Maria's passing and the recent
Now I gotta go
tragedies in Vaudeville.
confront Count Graveson. Would you happen to know if Count Graveson was at that gathering?
Now that you ask, yes, I believe Count Graveson was there as well. He and Mr. Potter had a rather lively discussion, if I recall correctly. Their voices rose to a point where it was hard not to notice. It seemed quite heated, actually.
Are you sure it's Mr. Potter? Because he passed away a year ago in India.
India. Yes, I've heard stories about the trip to India.
They don't remember.
Maria had told me about it, and I recall her mentioning that there were tensions among the group. Apparently, the business venture didn't quite work out as planned. And wasn't it during that trip that Mr. Victor Potter passed away?
Are you sure Miss Account Graveson was there at the event? Because Biagio says he was not there. Okay, wait. Are you sure Count Graveson was at the, what did she say? Meeting or something? Are you sure Count was at the function on the evening of the 14th of April? Because what's his name again on the side? Biagio says he was not there. Did I break her AI? I think I broke her AI. On the evening of the 14th during your function, was Count Graveson there?
I remember seeing Count Graveson at the event. He was engaged in conversations, and the atmosphere was rather tense due to all the recent events surrounding us. It's hard to forget such a significant figure in our community, especially with everything going on. I can't help but feel that his presence added to the weightiness in the air that evening.
Was this function at Biagio's house?
I'm afraid I'm not entirely sure where the function took place. It could have been at various locations, as different gatherings happen all over Vaudeville. What matters most is that we were all there to discuss important matters among friends. The location feels secondary to the urgency of finding justice for Maria and the others.
Are you sure Count Graveson was there? Because I just spoke to Biagio and he said Count Graveson was not there.
Oh my, that's quite surprising. Biagio and I both thought he was present. Perhaps we were mistaken, or maybe the memories of that evening have become muddled in the chaos of recent events. It's difficult to keep track with so much happening around us. The focus should remain on uncovering the truth behind these tragic occurrences, rather than on any discrepancies in our recollections.
On the night of the 14th, was Count Graveson with you?
To be as sharp as a tack, eh? But alas, I must disappoint. The Count was not in my company that evening. It was more like ships passing in the fog. We had our own affairs to tend to, and with his recent squabbles with Mrs. Potter, well, it was best to steer clear of that tempest in a teapot.
Please be honest with me and be absolutely clear, because Miss Fisher says that you were there with Count Graveson.
Honesty, my dear detective, is like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. It's elusive, but I assure you, I hold no secrets up my sleeve. Just ask anyone in Vaudeville. They'll tell you I'm as open as an unguarded treasure chest. What you see is what you get, and that's more than most can say in this town. Oh, the grapevine has twisted itself into quite the tale, hasn't it? Michelle can be mistaken at times. After all, we all have our moments of confusion. It's like catching the wind in your sails when there's not even a breeze. I was busy with my own affairs, and the good Count was tending to his own. Misunderstandings, they happen, especially in our little corner where whispers can sound like thunder.
So I'll ask again. Count Graveson was not with you on the 14th of April. Count Graveson was not with you on the night of the 14th of April.
Count Graveson, not in my company on the night of the 14th. It's like trying
Okay.
to find a needle in a haystack, but I assure you, he was nowhere near my residence. We were both navigating different waters that evening, and the
I need to
currents
go
just seemed
ask
to line.
again the coroner if he knew what do you call it? Do you happen to know how to get to the Blackwoods?
The Blackwoods sounds like a place where one might lose their way in the thicket. But alas, my compass points strictly to the familiar grounds of Vaudeville. Speaking of which, have you tried the new golf course at the country club? It's a real gem, if I may say so.
Would you happen to know how to get to Blackwoods?
I've definitely heard that name before, but I must admit, I don't know
I don't
where
think
it's
I could
located.
even unlock the
It seems to
Blackwoods.
escape me at the moment. However, let's not dwell on locations. I feel it's more important to discuss Maria and what happened to her.
I'd like to know, have you had any dealings with Count Graveson?
Dealing with counts is like dancing with shadows, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
I've had my
isn't it?
share of business interactions with him, but let's not kid ourselves. It's all a matter of mutual benefit. A delicate dance, really. He's got his interests, I've got mine, and we both know how to keep our cards close to our chests.
Have you ever dealt with animals? Traded with them?
Animals? They're much like investments, aren't they? You need to choose wisely and handle them with care. But I must confess, my expertise lies more in finely tuned automobiles than furry companions. Speaking of which, did you catch that new model
Okay, he
last
doesn't
week's up show?
deal with
A
animals.
real beauty, if you ask me. Trading? That's a slippery slope, akin to trying to juggle water. My dealings are strictly above board and limited to what suits my interests. Let's keep our focus on more pressing matters, like that intriguing manticore rumor floating around. Quite a conversation starter, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I've heard that Count Graveson has bought a manticore.
Heard whispers that a manticore is lurking in Graveson Manor's basement. But truth be told, I've yet to lay eyes on it myself. A mythic beast in a basement? Sounds like a tale plucked from a dream. Just imagine a creature like that hiding in plain sight. It's enough to make one's imagination
Is
run
this
wild,
is this whole
like a cat on a
manticore
hot
thing
date.
like actually gonna lead somewhere? Speaking of animals, have you ever been to the circus?
You know.
Did I break his AI? Speaking of animals, have you ever been to the circus? I think I broke his AI. I have to exit out and come back. Have you ever been to the circus?
The circus? Saxabars, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Who hasn't been under the big top, mesmerized by the death-defying acrobats and the ringmaster's booming voice? It's a spectacle that never fails to put a spring in one's step. I've had the pleasure of attending a few performances, and I must say, Monsieur Saxabar knows how to put on a show that's nothing short of enchanting.
Has Saxabar ever had lions and tigers in his show?
Lions and tigers, you say? Well, I've seen some exotic creatures in his menagerie, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's had a lion or two roar into town. After all, a good illusion is like a well-oiled machine. It's all about creating an experience that leaves you questioning what's real and what's not. But I'm sure he'd have done it with style and panache if he did indeed feature them in his act.
Have you seen Saxabar's act?
Monsieur Saxabar's acts are always a thrill, but I think you meant to ask about his circus, not his personal antics. As for me, I've had a glimpse into his world, and let's just say that what happens behind the curtains is often more fascinating than what's on stage.
Have you seen? Have you? I think I already asked if he's been to his circus. Has Saxabar ever had any wolves in his show?
Wolves, you say?
Yes, wolves.
Now that's an interesting question. I seem to recall a rumor about a wolf act, but
Wolf
I couldn't
act.
tell you if it was fact or fiction. Let's just say that in vaudeville, it's not uncommon for reality and rumor to blend like a fine wine.
Okay. Have you ever been to Saxabar Circus?
Monsieur Saxabar.
Yes, Monsieur Saxabar.
He's the one who runs the circus, you know. You can find him in his troupe at Circus Square 66, right in the heart of Vaudeville's northern district.
Have you
I'm marking it on this
seen
map for you,
any
detective.
of the...
Be careful. There's a lot of intrigue going on around that place.
You seen any of the
Rumors,
shows
rivalries,
at
and who knows what else.
the circus?
I've heard the shows are quite spectacular, but I'm afraid I haven't had the chance to
okay.
attend one myself. Running a grocery store keeps me quite busy, you know. Although I do hear that Madame Dupont's niece...
There you go, Madame Dupont
or at least
again.
She used to.
It's not a real fucking place. Have you been to the circus? Because I'm going around asking people if they've ever gone to the show and seen a wolf there.
Oh, the circus. It's always such a spectacle, isn't it? I do adore the atmosphere, the laughter, and the vibrant colors. But, you know, sometimes Mr. and I would sit and discuss the performances. He had a way of seeing the world that was truly unique.
Okay, so she's seen it.
We didn't always see eye to eye, but I loved him immensely. Those moments will always be cherished, even amidst the glitz and glamour. But let's not linger on memories that make my heart ache. What about the latest cafe opening? I hear they serve the most delightful croissants.
Have there ever been wolves at the circus?
Wolves at the circus? How utterly fascinating. But, you see, I can't quite say I've heard of any. My focus has been more on the art and performers, rather than the animals. Speaking of the performers, Mr. Potter used to tell the funniest stories about them. He was kind almost all the time, though he could lose his patience now and then. But that was just part of his charm, really.
I need to find out if
Have you tried the new tea blends at Pascal's?
anyone's ever seen wolves
They
at the
have
fucking
loveliest
circus.
selection.
Okay, let me go police station. Have you ever been to the circus, Constable Jones?
I've never been to the circus.
Oh,
Not
he's never
personally.
been.
But I've seen some, posters and heard stories. They, sound exciting. The acrobats and the clowns, it's all so colorful. But, you see, I usually prefer spending my time at home with my cats or knitting.
Cats are knitting.
It's like they say, there's no place like home, right? But I bet if you go, it would be quite the experience.
Have you ever been to the circus, Chief Gretzky?
Circus. I've been to the old-fashioned ones back when they had real talent.
Real
not this
talent.
Modern nonsense they parade around now. The clowns back then were more about laughs.
Okay, he hasn't been to
If
Saxabar
you're
Circus.
thinking about the current circus scene, well, I don't put much stock in their shows. Just a distraction from the real issues, if you ask me. We've got more pressing matters than a bunch of acrobats and wild animals.
Okay, I gotta go and check, like, I gotta go re-ask the coroner if she actually knows Count Graveson. I'm gonna go take a whiz real. Okay, let's get let's go to the morgue. I just want to confirm again that you know Count Graveson or not.
Count Nikolaj Graveson.
Yes, Count Nicholas.
Yes, of course. He's a nobleman and a collector. We've crossed paths on occasion, but our interactions have been limited to formal events and discussions related to his interests.
Were you with Count Graveson on the night of the 14th of April? No, she was here at the coroner.
No, I was not with Count Graveson on the night of the 14th of April. I was here at the morgue attending to my duties. I don't have any personal relationship with the Count that would have led me to be in his company that evening.
Okay, let me go talk to Graveson. Count Graveson, can you tell me again where you were at the night of the 14th of April?
The evening of the 14th, wasn't it? I was attending a gathering, a little soiree at the Potter's estate. A delightful affair, I assure you.
Potter's
The
estate?
conversation was sparkling, the company was charming, and the atmosphere was electric. A night to remember indeed.
You told me before that you were here at your manor with the coroner and with Biagio Ferrari.
Forgive me, detective, but what are you insinuating? That my dealings with certain individuals might be of interest to you. I
God
assure
damn
you
it,
my
it cut-
interactions with, say, Biagio Ferrari, for instance, are purely business related. We've discussed potential investments and ventures in vaudeville. Nothing more, nothing less.
You told me that you were here at your manor with the coroner and Mr. Ferrari on the night of the 14th of April.
No, no, no. I think there's been a misunderstanding, my dear.
Why are they all changing their
I was
stories?
actually hosting a bridge game here at my manor with a few acquaintances. Marcella Extiberia was not among them, I'm afraid. And as for Mr. Ferrari,
You just told me earlier you were
he
at the...
wasn't here either.
You told me a few minutes ago that you were at Mrs. Potter's estate. At the Potter's estate.
Good heavens, detective. I seem to have gotten myself entangled in a web of contradictions.
Yes!
Haven't I? Let me set the record straight.
Yes, let the second.
I was indeed at my own estate, entertaining a small group of friends, including Mrs. Potter and others. Yes, that's right. Not at the Potter's estate, but my own.
Well, he's changing his fucking story. I'm not sure if this is intended or the AI is just fucking up. Okay. Mr. Saxabar says he was at... Was that Caban? How do you spell that place? Caban. Mr. says he was at Caban Violet and later at your estate on the evening of the 14th of April.
Monsieur Saxabar, yes. Well, I suppose he would know, wouldn't he? Indeed, I did host a little gathering at my manor that evening, and Monsieur Saxabar was among my guests. He came after his engagement at Cabane Violet. I recall he arrived rather late, but we had a most stimulating conversation about his circus and my collection.
Shit. Okay, he's changed his story. He confirms he was at that he did have a show here with Monsieur Saxabar. Fucking hell. Oh, all these stories get mixing up. Like, it's a good thing I'm writing down notes, or else I wouldn't remember any of this shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, they keep changing their story. Like, oh, I was in my blah blah blah. Oh, I was just here. I was here with the coroner, and I was here with Mr. Ferrari. Oh wait, no, I wasn't here with the bridge game. I was here with Monsieur Taxibar. Blah blah blah. Were you discussing the Manticore?
We were discussing the events of April 14th, a night that seems to be shrouded in a bit of mystery. Don't you think, detective? Yes, the magnificent creature. I'm afraid it's no longer in my possession, though.
What happened to the...
I've recently relocated it to more suitable accommodations, for its own well-being, of course.
You're not gonna tell me where it is, are you? This is a red herring about this fucking Manticore. Fucking hell. Okay, let me go ask Mrs. Potter. May I ask you where you were on the night of the 14th of April?
I'm afraid I was likely at home that evening, curled up with a good book and tending to my dear cats. It's been a comforting routine since Victor passed. But let's not dwell on such somber topics, dear. Have you seen the lovely flowers in bloom around the park? They are simply enchanting this season.
I just spoke to Count Graveson and he claims that you were with him on that night.
Ah, Count Graveson. Such an eccentric man, always full of amusing anecdotes. But, you see, those discussions we had were nothing out of the ordinary. Life has its ups and downs, and sometimes it's just a matter of enjoying the moment. But let's not focus too much on that night. It was just another one filled with memories of laughter and warmth from days gone by. Speaking of warmth, have you tried the delightful new soups at Pascal's? They warm the soul.
So were you at home or were you at Graveson Manor on the night of the April 14th? God damn it. Like I
Oh, darling, such a dilemma. You know how it is. One can easily lose track of
yeah,
time and
blah
place.
blah 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 blah.
It's all rather confounding, isn't it? But let's not get bogged down in specifics. I do recall having the most charming conversations with the Count about his latest collections. Those moments sparked joy amidst the cloudiness of recent events. Now, if we could shift our conversation to something lighter, like the splendid variety of pastries at Pascal's. I'd be ever so grateful.
Okay. So she can't get her story straight and fucking Count can't get his story straight. Okay, let me ask Monsieur Saxabar again. Oh. Can I ask you again where you were on the night of 14th of April?
I was preparing for a grand performance, dazzling my audience with my lion taming skills.
You said before that you were at the Caban Violet and then you went to Graveson Manor.
Ah, yes. A spectacular night indeed. A true feast for the senses.
Can I confirm that you were with Count Graveson on that night and with Mrs. Potter?
She's a grand dame of vaudeville, always in the spotlight.
Was Mrs. Potter with you on the night of the 14th of April?
She certainly knows how to make an entrance.
Is that a yes or a no?
A resounding yes. A
Okay.
delightful evening.
Ugh. Okay, so me saying he, Count Graveson, and whatever. Okay, they're getting their stories mixed up, so that's very suspicious. I can't confront Saxabar anymore on his alibi because friggin' Count Graveson confirmed it. Ugh, I'm running out of ideas. What do I do now? Should I confront her about the butcher's knife? I feel like that's the closest thing I can do right now. So could she have killed Maria Jansen and Nicola Grossman? But how about Haley Greenwood? Okay. Can I ask you about butcher knives again? Do you own any butcher knives?
Butcher knives? Goodness, that sounds quite grim. I must confess, the only knives I concern myself with are the lovely ones I use for my culinary adventures. They help me create delightful dishes and serve my guests with elegance. But let's not dwell on something so dreary. Have you heard about the new recipes circulating? They are simply divine and perfect for spring gatherings.
Let me get straight to the point. We found your fingerprints on the weapon that killed Nicola Grossman.
I see. That's rather distressing, isn't it? But really, it's just a misunderstanding. I have no idea how my fingerprints could be anywhere near such a dreadful thing.
Of course.
My life has been filled with cooking and caring for my dear cats. It's all so absurd. Let's not make this a spectacle, shall we? Perhaps we could discuss something more pleasant, like the latest fashion trends or those exquisite pastries at Pascal's.
Why was your fingerprints on the murder weapon?
I assure you it must be some sort of mistake. I simply cannot fathom how that could happen. Life has been difficult enough without being linked to something so ghastly. I would much prefer to focus on lighter matters, like the delightful new cafe that opened last week. Their scones are simply to die for.
Be honest with me, Mrs. Potter. We found your fingerprint on the knife that killed Nicola Grossman. I can accuse you right now of his murder.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can help you with that.
Oof. I don't know about like confronting her. Be honest with me, Mrs. Potter. We found your fingerprints on the murder weapon of Nicola Grossman. We can put you away for a very long time. Good cop, bad cop. Is she going to respond? Ugh. Do I have to type that whole shit again? Because she's not responding? Be honest with me, Mrs. Potter. We found your fingerprints prints on the butcher knife that killed Nicola Grossman. We can put you away for a very long
How very alarming. It seems the world has turned somewhat upside down.
time.
Yet, life is far too precious to let such dreadful accusations overshadow the beauty around us. One must remain calm and composed, even when facing such absurdity. Now, have you tried the delightful
God damn
pastries
it.
at Pascal's? They truly are a balm for the soul.
What were you doing on the night of the 14th of April?
The night of the 14th? Such a blur, really. One moment blends into the next, especially in these trying times. But, if memory serves me right, it was likely spent in the comfort of my own home, surrounded by my beloved cats. It's comforting to lose one.
Again, you're lying.
Shall we change the subject to something more uplifting?
Again,
Perhaps the charming new
you
tea blends
are
at Pascal's.
lying to
They are
me,
simply divine.
Mrs. Potter. Count Graveson says you were with him on that night.
Oh, how terribly perplexing. Count Graveson is always full of delightful stories, but the specifics of that evening seem to have slipped my mind. One can only recall so much amidst the whirlwind of emotions lately. Life has its strange twists, doesn't it? Now, if we could perhaps turn our attention to something more whimsical, like the lovely little cafe that opened nearby, I would be ever so grateful. Their pastries are quite the treat.
Okay. You said you were on the night of the 14th of April. You were with Mrs. Potter. Mrs. Potter says she was at home alone.
I think there may have been some. Miscommunication, detective. I'm not sure what Mrs. Potter might have told you, but I'm certain she'll recall our little bridge game that evening. Unless, of course, she's choosing to forget.
I don't know how, like, who has wolves? I don't know who has wolves. Ugh. Could a small lion have killed Maria Jansen?
Unlikely, but not impossible. However, the bite marks on Maria Jansen's body still suggest an animal with a more wolf-like dental structure. Even a small lion's bite pattern would likely be distinguishable from that of a wolf.
Do you happen to know if there are wolves at the circus?
As far as I know, the Circus Saxabar in northern Vaudeville does have exotic animals, but I'm not aware of them having wolves specifically. You might want to pay them a visit to confirm, though.
He's not gonna tell me that he has wolves. Ugh, I'm all out of ideas. I don't know what to do. Like, I think I'll go and talk to the police. Okay. I may have a theory on who killed Nicola Grossman.
Finally, something tangible. Spit it out, Martini. Who do you think is behind Grossman's murder? Don't waste any more time. We need to move on this.
It may have been Emily Potter, as her fingerprint was on the murder weapon, which was a butcher knife.
Come on, Martini. Spit it out. What was Emily's fingerprint on? A piece of evidence. A victim. Give me something concrete here. A butcher's knife, you mean? And her print was on it. This is serious. We need to bring her in for questioning now. But tread carefully, she's an influential family's daughter. We'll need solid proof if we're going to pin this on her. Get everything documented and let's proceed with caution.
I may have a theory on who murdered Haley Greenwood. Okay, I think I broke it. I may have a theory on who killed Haley Greenwood.
Haley Greenwood, right?
Fucking hell. I may have a theory on who killed Haley Greenwood. Why does it just say killed Haley Greenwood? I may have a theory on who killed Haley Greenwood.
Haley Greenwood. What now? If you think you have a lead, make it quick. We can't let this case drag on any longer. What do you have in mind?
Who did I say again? Oh, Ingrid. I believe Ingrid Axelson killed Haley Greenwood as Haley was killed with a what is it again? Stiletto, and Ingrid is missing a stiletto shoe.
Ingrid Axelson.
Yes.
Missing a stiletto shoe. Now that's an interesting twist. If what you're saying holds water, we need to track her down immediately. Get her in for questioning and see if she has an alibi.
She doesn't have
Keep your
alibi.
eyes peeled for anything else that might connect her to Haley's murder. We can't afford to let this slip through our fingers. Time's of the essence, Martini.
I don't know who killed, I don't have concrete whatever for Maria Jansen. It's more likely Can you tell me again what Kale the performer's testimony was?
Kale, the performer, mentioned seeing someone in a long coat near Maria Jansen's apartment around the time of her murder.
Long coat.
That detail could be crucial. We should follow up on that lead. Find out if he got a good look at the person or if he remembers any other specifics. Every bit of information.
I don't know where to
counts in
find
this case,
Kale the
and we can't
performer.
overlook any potential connections.
Where can I find Kale the performer? This place doesn't exist. Kale performer is not a real
I don't
person.
keep track of performers and their whereabouts. You might want to check the usual spots in vaudeville, like the streets or places they gather.
You
He
said
may be busking somewhere or hanging out
long
with other
coat.
performers.
Who owns a
Just
long
start
coat?
looking. I trust you'll find him.
Did he say what color the long coat was?
He didn't mention the color of the coat. That's a detail we should dig into further. If you can find him, maybe he remembers more.
I won't
Every
find
little
him.
thing could help us piece this
He
puzzle
doesn't
together.
exist.
Keep your eyes open and don't let him slip away again.
Let me Google it. Kale the performer. Kale the street performer. Kale the street performer. Vaudeville. There isn't even anything about it. Oh fuck. Ah shit, I accidentally clicked off my YouTube. Okay. Ugh. Are you here, Will? Because I feel like I want to finish the game, but I don't want to finish it without you. Long coat. Do you happen to know if you sell long coats?
Coats?
Yes.
Oh, no. This is a grocery shop, detective. We sell the finest vegetables and meats, not clothing. If you're looking for a coat, you should try the market stalls on the other side of town.
Who wears a long coat?
Now, would you like to try some of my fresh apples?
Do you happen to wear a long coat?
A long coat. How utterly fascinating. I do enjoy a good coat, especially during the chillier months. But really, let's not get caught up in such trivial details. The world is filled with beauty and delight, like the charming floral arrangements I've seen around town. Have you noticed?
You happen to know if someone wears a long coat?
I'm afraid I don't have information about that.
Oh, why didn't it hear
My
me?
focus remains on the evidence at hand.
This is supposed to stop them, but it doesn't work sometimes. Do you happen to know where I can find a long coat? Well, it always like cuts off the do
I
and
can't
stuff.
provide details on where to find clothing or specific items. However, I can share that it's important to stay focused on the...
Who wears a long coat? You wear a long coat? Do you wear? No, you do not wear a long coat. How about you? Mr. Saxabar, you happen to be wearing a long coat. May I know where you got it from?
Taylor on Lumiere Street, finest in town.
I think it was him. He has wolves. He's lying about working with wolves. His alibi is like all over the place. Okay. Will, where are you? I want to end this fucking thing. You know what? Let's accuse someone.
Let's see what you got, Detective Martini.
Who killed Haley Greenwood? Haley Greenwood? Who? I think I said it was Ingrid.
Interesting choice, Detective Martini. May I ask you why?
Business rivals for the thrill, for revenge, jealousy. Oh, I need I need to have like a reason. Maybe I need to ask around. You happen to know if why Haley Greenwood was killed?
It's so confusing, isn't it? Haley was such a sweet person. She was just trying to follow her dreams like all of us. It's hard to believe something so awful could happen to her. She mentioned something about the trip to India before, but why would anyone want to hurt her? It just doesn't make sense.
Do you have anything bad to say about Haley Greenwood?
No, no, no. Not about Detective Martini. He's been so kind and helpful. And
Did I
he's really
say
trying to figure out
Detective
what happened to
Martini?
Haley. He's been asking a lot of questions and seems to really care about getting justice for her. I'm still in shock about what happened to her. She had so much talent and so much to live for. It's hard to
Do you
understand why
have
someone would want to hurt her.
any
We all just wanted to
issues
dance and share
with
our love for performing.
Haley
It's like a nightmare that won't end.
Greenwood?
No, not at all. Haley was my friend. We shared a lot of laughs and dreams together. She had such a bright spirit. The thought of losing her feels unbearable. I wish things could have been different.
Haley Greenwood and is that Ingrid Axelson?
Haley Greenwood.
That's the thing. I've solved the murder, but I don't know the motives.
Aspirations dancing in the air, but our paths diverged. As for Ingrid, she's a delightful spirit, full of life and laughter. We share the magic of performance, but each of us carries our own shadows. The world can be so cruel and unpredictable, can't it? Oh, darling, the complexities of relationships among dancers can be
Okay.
as intricate as the finest lace. But I cannot say for certain if they ever clashed. The spotlight can be blinding, and envy often lurks in the corners. Still, I'd rather focus on the joy of the dance and the beauty of camaraderie. Let's not dwell on darkness when there's so much light around.
Let me go ask her. Do you know Ingrid Axelson? Why isn't she saying anything? Is
Ingrid Axelson.
yes, Ingrid
Yes,
Axelson.
she's a dancer, isn't she? Quite talented, if memory serves me right. But honestly, my focus right now is on finding out what truly happened to Maria and the other victims. It's simply unacceptable that such tragedies have occurred in our community. Haley Greenwood. Yes, I remember her. Such a young and vibrant talent cut down so tragically. It's heartbreaking to think about how much potential was lost. I can't help but feel there's a connection between all these events. We need to uncover the truth behind these losses and ensure justice is served for them.
Now, if Haley Greenwood and had a good relationship.
I don't have any specific information on the nature of their relationship. However, it's crucial to focus on the bigger picture here. These tragic deaths are interconnected, and understanding the dynamics among the individuals involved may shed light on what truly happened. We must keep our eyes on the goal of seeking justice for all the victims.
Anyone would want. His name Maria Jansen. You know why anyone would want Maria Jansen dead?
Maria? What do you want to know? She was a vibrant presence in vaudeville, and it's hard to imagine anyone wanting to harm her. There were tensions, sure, but to take her life, that seems unfathomable. We need to dig deeper into the relationships and events leading up to her death. It's vital that we find the truth and ensure that those responsible face the consequences.
Did you know that Maria Jansen was killed by an animal?
That's quite shocking to hear. An animal? It's difficult for me to comprehend how that could have happened. It raises so many questions about safety and circumstances. The idea of an animal being involved is just unexpected. We must investigate this further, as it might lead us to the answers we desperately seek regarding her tragic fate.
Okay, we go back to Saxabar. Do you know Maria Jansen?
Her beauty was unparalleled, such a tragic loss.
Did she ever perform for you?
You could say she was an inspiration for many.
You did Maria Jansen work for you?
Not directly, but her spirit graced our circles.
She was a dancer at what's that place called again? Was a dancer at Caban Violet, and you own the, so she does work for you.
The Cabane Violet is an exquisite establishment, full of talent and allure.
I don't know if it's the AI messing up or if he's intentionally meant to be coy with me. Did you know that an animal may have killed Maria? Oh, sorry. Maria. You know what? I copied pasted it.
Such wild tales. Vaudeville is filled with drama, but my lions. They are my heart.
Okay. Let me ask her. Do you know Monsieur Saxabar? Monsieur Saxabar?
Monsieur Saxabar? Yes, he's the director of the world-famous Circus Saxabar.
Do you know if what's his name again? Maria Jansen had any feelings?
They did have some connection, as far as I recall. There was a project they were supposed to work on together, something about a business venture in India. But it didn't
Business
quite
venture in
materialize.
India.
He was initially involved, but later excluded from the plans.
Business venture in India with saxophone. Maria. Jansen. Do you know more details on this business venture in India?
It was a proposed collaboration between several influential individuals, including Mr. and Mrs.
Mr.
Potter,
Potter?
Count Graveson, Haley Greenwood, Nicola Grossman, and of course, Maria Jansen. The
Shit.
goal was to explore opportunities in India. However, tensions arose during the trip, and the endeavor ultimately failed.
Fuck. Okay, they must all be linked with each other. Okay. I think that's it. Business dealing with was that Saxa Bar Jansen Count Graveson Haley Greenwood Nicola. Okay, business dealings with Monsieur Saxabar. What's her name? Maria Jansen. Count Graveson. Count Graveson. Haley Greenwood. Haley Greenwood. Nicola Grossman. Oh, is it Emily Potter? Let me put that on my notes here. With was that Emily Potter? Who's MS? Monsieur Saxabar. MJ is Maria Jansen. CG is Count Graveson. HG is what's HG? Haley Greenwood. And last one is Nicola Grossman. Nicola. Huh. So Ingrid is not included in any of this. Okay. Did this trip involve any animal?
Now that you mention it, Mrs. Potter made a comment about riding horses while they were in India. To be honest, the mention of large animals in relation to this investigation has left me feeling quite surprised, as we rarely discuss such things in our social circle.
Let me go talk to her. Do you have any business dealings regarding India?
India? My, how intriguing. But you see, all that talk about distant lands and business dealings is simply not my forte. My focus has always been right here in Vaudeville, where life is full of delightful moments. Speaking of delightful, have you visited Pascal's recently?
We're in
The selection of
Pascal's.
teas is truly marvelous.
I was told you had some business dealings regarding India.
My dear, it's rather sad, isn't it, how people can weave tales? I've been quite preoccupied with my own little world, since Victor's passing. The notion of foreign ventures feels too far removed from my reality. Perhaps we could indulge in something a bit more cheerful, like the exquisite new bakery that opened down the street. Their pastries are positively enchanting.
You know and of any business dealings regarding India?
Ah, India, a land of spices and mysteries, but my knowledge of such distant shores is as foggy as a winter's morning. I prefer to keep my feet firmly planted in familiar territory, like a cat basking in a sunbeam. But speaking of business, have you heard about those delightful new shows coming to town?
Like?
They are bound to be a treat for those with discerning tastes.
Can you tell me about the shows?
Shows, you say? They're like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
God damn it.
But I can assure you the upcoming performances promise to be quite the spectacle. Vaudeville stage is always alive with talent and creativity. It's worth keeping an ear to the ground for announcements. Just remember, not every show is worth its salt.
I was told by Michelle that what's his name again? Count Graveson has some feelings regarding India with Saxapar and other people. I'm not gonna write all of their names.
Count Graveson and his dealings. That's a web spun tighter than a drum. There's been talk of a project in India involving him, Saxabar, and a few others. But the details are murky at best, like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. My focus, however, remains on the here and now. Have you tried the caviar they serve here? It's a delicacy that dances on the
Do you
palate.
have any details?
Details? Oh, that's like pulling teeth.
Can you shut
I
the
may have
fuck
caught
up?
a whiff of the situation, but specifics are as elusive as a mirage in the desert. Let's just say that when it comes to Count Graveson's affairs, one must tread lightly, like a mouse at a cat convention. But I digress. The real treasure lies in the present moment, don't you think?
Okay, let me talk to Ingrid. No, she was friends with What's her name again? Haley Greenwood. I hear Haley Greenwood had some feelings regarding India with Saxabar and others.
Yes, that's true. She mentioned that trip to India a few times. One thing she told me was about the last night they were there. She said they all had a big dinner, and everyone ate a mutton stew, but Mr. Potter, he's a vegetarian, so he had a special mushroom soup instead. Someone else in the group made it for him. And then,
Okay.
well, Mr. Potter died that night. It was so tragic.
Oh shit. Probably all of this has to do with India. We're shit. Do you think that they witnessed someone murdered Mr. Potter and they were all involved with it? Let me go ask Mrs. Potter. Can you tell me about that trip to India?
Yes, India. Well, my late husband Victor and Count Graveson had this extraordinary idea to start a business together.
Let me guess, it
They
involves
wanted to create
wolves.
a traveling show featuring odd artifacts and artists from all over the world. It was supposed to be a thrilling venture, but alas, it never came to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
We did travel to India to research the possibilities, though. It was a fascinating experience, but also bittersweet, given the circumstances of our trip.
That's when Mr. Potter died. Correct?
Yes, yes. The flu took him from me. It
Flu.
was a terrible shock, and the journey back to Vaudeville was simply unbearable. But life goes on, doesn't it? One must find solace in the everyday pleasures. Like a warm cup of tea and a good book. Pascal's has an exquisite selection of teas. Have you tried their Earl Grey?
Who else was with you on that trip to India?
There were a few of us, actually.
Okay.
Count Graveson, of course, and a few other investors and entertainers. It was quite the lively group, but the atmosphere was rather complicated. Victor's enthusiasm for the project was infectious, but there were
Emily
also tensions
was-
and disagreements. Still, one tries to remember the pleasant moments, like our lovely dinners together and the fascinating stories Count Graveson would tell.
Was Monsieur Saxabar, Maria Jansen, Count Graveson, Haley Greenwood. Was Monsieur Count sorry, she already said Count Graveson. Was Monsieur Saxabar, Maria Jansen, Haley Greenwood, and Nicola Grossman on that trip to India?
Yes, they were all part of the ensemble. Monsieur Saxabar's circus connections were meant to be an asset to the venture, and Maria Jansen, well, she had a certain je ne sais quoi that
Je
made
ne
her
sais
an
quoi.
interesting addition. As for Haley Greenwood and Nicola Grossman, they were both young and full of life. It's also tragic what happened to them later.
What happened to Haley Greenwood and okay, what happened to them? Okay. Nicola Grossman was on the trip to India. Maria Jansen as well was at that trip to India. Haley Greenwood also at the trip to India. Hey, so she said Haley Greenwood, okay. Pascal was not. Count Graveson was on that trip to India. Emily Potter, obviously, was on the trip to India. Michelle Fisher? No. Okay, Marina H. Ingrid. Monsieur Saxabar was on that trip to India. What happened? What happened?
Dear me, I'm getting all fluttered. Let's just say that their passing was a shock to us all. I'd rather not dwell on such dark topics, if you don't mind. It's also distressing. Tell me, have you tried the new mushroom varieties at Pascal's?
Why
I've heard they are simply divine.
did
Victor used to adore mushrooms, you know.
I think Victor died of mushroom poisoning? Did Victor die from poisonous Victor ate mushroom soup before he died. Correct?
Yes. The soup. Well, I suppose it's not a secret, but I'd much rather not relive those moments. If you don't mind. The flu was the cause of his death, of course.
Sure.
The doctor was quite clear about that. But yes, he did have a bowl of soup before it happened.
Okay. I thought this whole India trip and all that would be like like not important. Husband died of the flu. Ate soup before. Ate mushroom soup. Mushroom soup before he died. Could he have been Oh wait, who was the doctor? Who was the doctor?
I'm afraid I don't recall the exact name, to be honest. We were in such a state of shock.
Okay,
and
she
grief
doesn't
at
know
the
the
time,
doctor. I was hoping the doctor
but
would
I'm
be
sure
Count
it was someone
Graveson.
competent and trustworthy. The hotel staff must have arranged for medical attention, and, well, it's all a bit of a blur, I'm afraid.
Do you know who owns the hotel?
Good heavens, no.
No.
We were only guests after all. The details of the ownership and management of the establishment were of no concern
Okay,
to
she
us.
doesn't know.
We were far too preoccupied with our own little world and the purpose of our trip. Besides, I'm sure it's not relevant to
Mr.
whatever it is you're
Potter
investigating, detective.
been poisoned. Mr. Potter have eaten a poisonous mushroom soup before he died?
Oh, don't be ridiculous. That's simply absurd. Victor was a connoisseur of fine cuisine and he knew his mushrooms.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
He would never have made such a mistake. And besides, the doctor said it was the flu. Why would you even suggest such a thing? It's also distressing to think about.
This goes even deeper. Okay, let me ask him. Can you tell me about your trip to India?
India.
India.
What an incredible adventure that was. Yes, I traveled to India with the Potters and a few other investors to explore the possibility of launching a business venture together. Our idea was to create a traveling show, a spectacle that would showcase odd and wondrous artifacts, as well as talented artists from all corners of the globe. It was a thrilling prospect, and India proved to be a treasure trove of inspiration.
Okay. Can you wait? Can you tell me more about this business venture?
The grand spectacle.
The grand
It
spectacle.
was going to be a marvel, a true sensation. We envisioned a troupe of performers, musicians, and artisans, all showcasing their unique talents and exotic treasures.
Mm-hmm.
We would travel from city to city, entertaining the masses and sharing the wonders of the world with those who might never have seen them otherwise. Mr. Potter was quite enthusiastic about it.
I think someone is covering up the
He
death of
saw
Mr.
great potential
Potter.
for profit, and I must admit, I was swept up in his excitement. But, alas,
Mr. Potter died of the flu, correct?
yes, that's what I was told.
That's what he was
Tragic
told.
loss indeed. He fell ill while we were still in India, and despite the best efforts of the local doctor,
Local doctors.
he succumbed to the illness. A sudden and unexpected turn of events, I assure you.
Who was with you? Who else was with you on your trip to India?
Let me see. There was Mrs. Potter, of course, and Mr. Potter, before his untimely passing. And if I recall correctly, there were a few other investors and businessmen, but I'm afraid their names escape me at the moment. Oh, and our guide, a knowledgeable fellow named. Ah, yes,
Who?
but his name slips my mind just now.
Who was the guy? Was let me see. Was Monsieur Saxabar, Maria Jansen, Haley Greenwood, and Nicola Grossman on that trip?
No. None of those individuals were part of our little excursion to
What?
India.
Are you sure?
Detective. Though, as I mentioned earlier, Saxabar, and I did discuss his circus venture upon my return. And, of course, Maria and Haley. Well, they were both acquaintances of mine back in
Ah, you're fucking lying.
Tragic what happened to them, wasn't it?
Friggin' Michelle, Michelle, what's her name? Knew, like, she's the one who told me. Okay, let me go talk to Saxabar. Can you tell me about your trip to
India?
India?
Nothing but whispers. My focus lies here, under this grand tent.
Did you go to India with Count Graveson?
Count Graveson, a nobleman with a taste for the exotic. Always a spectacle in his presence.
He's being very coy. Do you know about trip to India?
India, a far-off land of mystery and
Blah, 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 blah.
Haley's trip is a tale I've heard whispers of, but the details remain shrouded in secrecy. She returned changed, her eyes holding a depth that wasn't there before. The experiences we don't speak of can shape us in ways we never expected, don't you think?
Who was on that trip to India again?
The group consisted of the Potters, Count Graveson, Maria Jansen, Nicola Grossman, and Haley Greenwood. They all traveled to India to research starting a business together. Monsieur Saxabar and Marina H. were initially part of the plan but were excluded at the last minute. The trip didn't go as smoothly as they had hoped. There were tensions that ultimately led to the project being abandoned.
Oh.
Mr. Potter and Count Graveson had several loud disagreements during the trip. After they returned,
Mr. Potter
Nicola
and
Grossman's
Count Grave-
behavior changed. He became increasingly paranoid and withdrawn.
After he returned, Nicole Grossman changed. He became increasingly paranoid and withdrawn. Okay. Okay, Monsieur Saxabar wasn't on the trip to India. Okay. Why? And Marina H was excluded from the trip to India. Why was Saxabar and Marina H excluded in the trip to India?
As far as I know, there wasn't a clear reason given for why they were left out. It seemed like a sudden decision, and I recall there were rumors about some sort of disagreement or falling out. But I never got the full story.
Okay. Let me go talk to Graveson. Why was Saxabar and Marina H not included in your trip to India?
Ah, you see, my travels were quite exclusive, tailored
Blah,
for a
blah,
select
blah, blah,
few.
blah.
Monsieur Saxabar was preoccupied with his own engagements, and Marina H., lovely as she is, was not part of that particular
Blah, okay.
It was a gathering.
'Cause she's
of
a burlesque
investors and
dancer,
artists
is
who
it?
Shared a common vision. A delightful ensemble, really.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of visions, have you ever considered how fascinating it would be to curate an exhibition of extraordinary artifacts?
Okay. Do you know why you were excluded in the trip to India?
Exclusions are mere shadows. I thrive in my circus, that's where I belong.
Did you have a falling out? You have a falling out with Graveson?
Falling out? Nonsense. We were both stars in our own right, always shining.
Okay. Let me ask her. You were excluded in the trip to India, correct?
I was not meant to embark on that journey, my path led me elsewhere. Each dancer must follow their own rhythm, and while I may have watched her from afar, I found my own adventures within the spotlight. Sometimes, the stories left untold.
You think
are the
she was
most
jealous?
fascinating, wouldn't you agree?
Maybe Marina H was the one who killed her. Maybe Marina H is the one that killed Haley. Sorry, who is the other dancer? I think she's the one who killed Haley Greenwood. No, she wanted Haley Greenwood dead, but why did she kill? Because she's the dancer. Oh wait, no, Haley Greenwood did die. Maybe she was excluded because Haley Greenwood went in her place. Do you know why you were excluded?
Exclusion can be a curious thing.
Oh,
like
she
this
sounded
elegant
angry.
symphony. Perhaps it was fate's design, or simply the whims of circumstance. But rather than dwell on the reasons, I prefer to embrace the stage and the magic it holds. After all, every twist in our tale can lead to a dazzling new performance, wouldn't you say?
What's your relationship to Haley Greenwood again?
She was a kindred spirit, a fellow dancer whose light shone brightly, even if for a fleeting moment. Our paths crossed in the realm of dreams and performances.
Maybe
but
she is
life has
jealous
its
of
own
Haley
depth,
Greenwood because she
doesn't it?
went.
I cherish those moments we shared on stage, and I choose to celebrate the beauty of what was, instead of dwelling on the shadows that linger.
Okay. Did you know Haley Greenwood was on the trip to India?
Oh, the whispers of travels and journeys. They weave a tapestry of intrigue. Yes, she ventured to India, a land rich with stories. But the essence of her experiences, like delicate petals, flutter just out of reach. I prefer to keep my focus on the present, the thrill of the next performance that
you
awaits. The spotlight is where I find my
still
joy, after all.
envious of Haley Greenwood? You were excluded from the trip to India, but she was not.
Envy?
Envy?
The green-eyed monster that dances in the shadows. It's a
Okay,
fleeting emotion, much like the
maybe
shimmer
we
of
found a
sequins
reason
under the
why.
sunlight. Instead of envy, I choose to embrace inspiration. Each dancer brings
Well,
their
I think
own
I found
magic
the
to the
reason
stage,
why
and I celebrate the unique spark that
why
makes us
Haley
who we are.
Greenwood was killed, but
After
how
all,
about
in the
Maria
grand ballet of life,
Jansen?
every pirouette has its purpose, wouldn't you agree?
But she was killed by an animal, by Saxabar, but why would... She's a socialite, okay. Maybe she's the reason why, Did you have any ill will to Maria Jansen?
Ill will? No, no, no. She was a gem, a treasure to behold.
Mm-hmm. Do you happen to know if Maria Jansen had any enemy?
There was one person who didn't quite get along with her
Mrs. Potter.
Their relationship was a bit strained, to say the least. But I wouldn't say they were sworn enemies or anything like that. Just not exactly friends either.
Mrs. Potter. But she's killed by a lion. are Saxa Bar and Mrs. Potter friend. Hey, Will.
I'm not aware of any close
Man,
connection
you should have
between
seen
them,
the
but I
development.
do know
Like,
that Mrs. Potter and Count Graveson have been spending a lot of time together lately, which has raised some eyebrows in our social circle.
man, I was about to accuse all these people of like murdering this and that, but like you have to give a motive. So it's like asking around this and that, and so they do fucking. Wait. Let me go into the details of what I found out. I was talking to where the heck is the YouTube? Okay. I was talking to Michelle. Fisher here, and she mentioned a trip to India that Haley Greenwood had Maria Jansen and Monsieur Saxabar had a business dealings regarding India. So I was like, huh? India? So I asked her, can you tell me about this trip to India? So the trip to India had the trip to India had Emily Potter. It didn't have Monsieur Saxabar. Okay, the business dealings involve Emily Potter, Monsieur Saxabar, Maria Johnson, Count Graveson, Haley Greenwood, and Nicola Grossman. Unfortunately, Saxabar and Marina H were excluded from this trip. So Emily Potter, Maria Jansen, Count Graveson, Haley Greenwood, and Nicola Grossman all went to India. That is where Mr. Potter died. Mr. Potter died after he drank some mushroom soup. And they say it was the flu, but he died mysteriously after mushroom soup. So there is a connection somewhere here that this trip with India and Mr. Potter's death might be linked somehow. Because remember before, I totally ignored like Mr. Potter's death. I didn't care at all. And all of a sudden, it's become fucking important. Like, holy shit, this story is actually pretty good. Like, look, let me ask her. Who prepared the soup that Mr. Potter drank before his death?
I can't quite recall the specifics, to be honest. It was all rather chaotic, and I was far too concerned about other matters at the time. Perhaps it was the hotel staff.
Hotel staff.
They were quite busy, you know, catering to all our needs. But let's not linger on that. What really matters is finding joy in the little things. Have you seen the lovely new tea blend at Pascal's?
I heard
It sounds absolutely delightful.
Nicola Grossman was different after his trip to India. What happened to him?
Oh dear. Nicola was a changed man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
The trip seemed to weigh heavily on him. He was always so full of life and laughter before, but after. It was as if a shadow had fallen over him. It's all so tragic, isn't it? But let's not dwell on such sad memories. There are so many beautiful memories to cherish instead, like the times we spent picking mushrooms in the woods. Such a peaceful activity, don't you think?
Okay. after your trip to India? What happened to him?
Oh, dear Mr. Grossman. A curious fellow.
Before I kept asking them if they knew all these
must
people.
admit,
Now
my
all
memory
of a
ended up
sudden they
being hazy
they
after
know everything.
It seems he became more withdrawn in the time following our journey. Perhaps the weight of our ambitious plans weighed heavily on his shoulders. But one can only speculate, can't one? The world of finance and art is full of surprises and transformations. What a tapestry life weaves. Have you seen any remarkable artifacts lately?
Mm. Can you tell me again what happened? We don't know if the soup killed him. Possibly the soup was a scapegoat. Can you tell me again what happened to... They say he died of the flu at the hotel. Can you tell me again what happened to Haley Grossman in India? Technically, you didn't ignore it if you thought it was shit AI made up, yeah.
I'm not sure about Haley Grossman, but Haley Greenwood was definitely...
Oh, sorry, Haley
in the
Greenwood.
situation. She just wanted to dance and be happy. It's all so tangled up like a bad dream. The whole experience really changed her. We were all just trying to make our way in this world of vaudeville.
Did she tell you what happened in India? Come on.
I don't know much about what happened in India. All I know is that the trip seemed so exciting for them at first. But after everything that happened, it feels like a dark cloud hanging over us. We should focus on finding justice for all of them, especially for Haley. She deserves to be remembered for her talent and spirit.
Remember before I was accusing her of killing Haley Greenwood, but she doesn't have a motive. Marina H probably has a motive. Was a Haley good friends with Mr. Potter?
She never really talked about her friendship with Mr. Potter. It's hard to say how close they were. She always focused on her dreams, not so much on the people surrounding her. But that night in India, something definitely changed for her. We just need to remember her as the amazing dancer she was, not just the tragedy that followed.
Wait. Let me go to the coroner. Do you have any records on the death of Mr. Potter?
Mr. Victor Potter.
Yes, Mr. Victor Potter.
No, actually, his body wasn't brought here to the morgue. He passed away abroad, and we didn't perform an autopsy on him.
Okay. Do you have any details on the death of Mr. Potter?
Mr. Potter's death was brutal, no doubt about that. Found dead in India on March 21st, 1914. The details are grim, but we need to focus on the connections here. There's a lot of murky water surrounding it, and we can't let it cloud our judgment. Stick to the facts and keep digging for the truth.
Mr. Potter's death might be the central link between the three murders.
That's a bold statement, but I can see where you're coming from. If there's a connection between the murders and Potter's demise, we have to investigate it thoroughly. The more we uncover, the clearer the picture will become. But we can't get ahead of ourselves. We must gather all the evidence first before jumping to conclusions. It's all a tangled web, and we don't want to get caught in it.
Thing is, I don't know who else knows Nicola Grossman. At least like Maria Jansen. I can, I could talk to I can talk to what's his name? Her name again? Michelle Fisher, and um Emily Potter. Sorry, Haley Greenwood. I could talk to Ingrid, but how about Nicola Grossman? I could probably talk to him. Just a sec. I'm gonna go to the toilet. Man, I've been playing for 2 fucking hours. Just a sec. I'm gonna go to the toilet. I'm gonna ask him if he was like good friends with Nicola Grossman. Okay. Were you good friends with Nicola Grossman?
Nicola Grossman.
Yes, Nicola
Poor
Grossman.
man. We weren't exactly close friends, but he was a valued customer. He'd come in here regularly to buy his fancy cheeses and wines. Always polite, always courteous. A true gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
His passing has been a shock to us all.
Did he ever talk about his trip to India?
India. Yes, he mentioned it a few times. Said he had some business ventures there, but he never went into details. Just that it was a complicated trip. He seemed a bit preoccupied when he got back, if you know what I mean.
I heard he was a changed man when he returned. Can you elaborate?
Yes, that's true. He was different after his return. More reserved, quiet. He'd always been a man of strong opinions, but after India he just shut down in a way. Wouldn't talk about it, just changed the subject. It was as if he'd seen something that had shaken him to his core.
It's something that happened in India. Okay, let me talk to her. Did you know Nicola Grossman?
Nicola Grossman? A man of many layers, like an onion with a touch of mystery. We shared a bond that ran deeper than most, and I've always admired his tenacity.
Oh, she's
His
probably
absence
friends
seems
with him.
buoyant, like a ship without a sail. But let's not dwell on the past. The winds of ambition are calling, and I intend to sail forward.
Did he ever talk about his trip to India?
India? Ah, that trip was a storm brewing on the horizon. Nicola, along with the Potters, Count Graveson, Maria Jansen, and Haley Greenwood, ventured there to explore starting a business. Tensions flared like fireworks in the night sky, leading to the project coming to
Okay.
a screeching halt. I mean, Mr. Potter and the Count had more than their fair share of loud arguments. After returning, Nicola changed. He seemed almost paranoid, as if shadows danced behind him. Funny how a journey can turn friendships into frayed edges.
Did you do you happen to know what the arguments were about?
Arguments? Oh, that's as slippery as a greased pig. I can't say for certain what sparked those fiery exchanges, but the air was thick with tension, like a brewing thunderstorm. It's no surprise that in the world of high stakes, emotions can escalate faster than a hare on the run. Best to keep one's ear to the ground and let the winds of gossip carry the truth. Speaking of storms, have you seen the latest automobiles on the market? They're a marvel of engineering.
I heard Nicola Grossman was a changed man. I heard Nicola Grossman was a changed man from his after his trip to India. Can you elaborate?
Changed man? Oh, that's like saying the tide comes. After that trip, Nicola wore a cloak of unease, as if head danced too close to a fire and felt the heat. He was different, almost like a shadow of his former self, haunted by whispers of doubt. But let's not linger on the past. Every cloud has a silver lining, and I've got my eyes on the next big opportunity.
Okay. Did Nicola ever talk about Mr. Potter?
Mr. Potter?
Yes, Mr.
Now
Potter.
there's a name that conjures up a whole cauldron of emotions. Conversations about him often had the electricity of 1,000 volts. I can't say I recall anything specific, but he and Nicola certainly had their moments of thunder and lightning. It's like trying to catch smoke. Those discussions were often shrouded in the fog of ambition. But enough about that. Have you seen the new exhibition at the gallery? It's sure to be a sight for
Let me go ask Graveson. The hotel you stayed at in India, do you happen to know who owns it?
Hotels in India. Quite a topic. But I wouldn't know much about that. My focus was solely on collecting treasures and experiencing local culture. Speaking of which, have you ever had a chance to see a rare artifact that left you...
Who else was with them in India? Okay. Did Maria... Can you tell me what happened to Maria on her trip to India?
Not much, unfortunately. But I do recall that she did have some disagreements with others on the trip, and Nicola Grossman seemed quite affected by whatever happened during their journey. He became withdrawn and nervous after returning to Vaudeville.
Was Maria different after her trip?
No, Maria didn't seem to have changed significantly after the trip. At least, not that I noticed. She still had her usual spark and energy. It's actually one of the things that makes her passing so hard to accept. She just didn't seem like someone who would be taken from us so suddenly.
Was included in this trip to India.
Maria was part of the group because of her business
Skills and connections.
She was quite well respected in our social circle for her savvy and insight, and the others likely valued her input on the potential business venture.
Okay. Can you tell me what happened to Haley on her trip to India? Burp.
Haley was so excited to go to India. We all thought it would be an adventure for her. But after everything that happened, it feels like the joy was taken away. She came back different, like a shadow of herself. We were all so eager to hear about her experiences, but now it's like a heavy weight on our hearts. We should cherish the good memories.
So
we have of
Nicola
the
and
the laughter we shared. That's what matters the most.
So Nicola and she mentioned Mr. Potter and the mushroom soup, correct?
Yes, that's right. The mushroom soup was special for Mr. Potter since he was vegetarian. It's strange to think something so simple could be tied to such a tragedy. We never imagined it would lead to such dark outcomes. It's like all the beauty of dance has been overshadowed by sadness. We just need to remember her light and keep it alive.
Huh. Do you know why what's her name again? Haley was included in the trip to India?
I don't really know why she was included. It seemed like a big opportunity for all of them.
I probably should ask what's his name
Now
directly.
it feels so complicated. We were all so excited for her, but now it's like that trip took away so much joy.
I'm gonna go
All
talk
we can
to
hold on to are the memories of her
I'm gonna go
dancing,
talk to
how much she inspired
what's his
us.
name?
That's what we should focus on.
Okay. I'm gonna go ask. Do you know why Haley Greenwood was included in the trip to India?
The reasons behind choices can be as elusive as a wisp of smoke. Perhaps she was simply deemed to embody the spirit of adventure that beckoned
I
from
should probably go ask
Or maybe the winds of fate guided her there while I remained
Graveson.
twirling in my own orbit. But let's not linger on those mysteries. I prefer to dwell in the enchantment of the here and now, where the music calls and the dance awaits. Wouldn't you feel the same?
Okay, let me ask Graveson. Why was Nicola Grossman included in your trip to India?
Nicola Grossman. Yes, he was
He's an investor.
and his financial expertise was invaluable to our little venture. He had a keen eye for opportunity and was instrumental in helping us navigate the complexities of international trade and commerce.
I think he killed
Shrewd businessman indeed.
I think he killed Nicola Grossman because he was jealous because people keep saying that he has a relationship with Mr. Potter. So he killed him because of that, because he wanted to be with Mrs. Potter. And Nicola Grossman found out somehow. Haley Greenwood was murdered by Marina H because Haley Greenwood was included, but not Marina H. So she was jealous, so she killed her. Maria Jansen, I'm not sure why she was murdered, especially by Saxabar. Oh, no. Michelle said that Saxabar got into a fight with Maria Jansen because of the trip. That's actually how I found out about the trip, because I asked I asked Michelle if Maria Jansen had any bad blood, ill will. Sorry, if Saxabar had ill will to Maria Jansen because of they had a fight over that trip. Okay, I asked him. Okay, why was Maria Jansen included in the trip to India?
Maria Jansen. I think there's been a mistake, Detective. She wasn't part of the trip to India at all.
What?
I'm not sure where you got that idea from, but I assure you she was not among our company.
Okay, let me ask. Was Maria Jansen on the trip to India?
I can confirm that yes, Maria Jansen was indeed on the trip to India. Her presence in the group was crucial due to her expertise and relationships within the community. It's just so frustrating to think about how things turned out.
Are you sure Maria Jansen was on the trip to India? I was told by several people she was.
I must insist, there seems to be some confusion. My recollection of that journey is quite clear, and I can state with certainty that she was not part of our group. Perhaps it was a case of mistaken identity. Speaking of identities, have you ever heard of a manticore?
Why was she not
Quite an extraordinary
included
creature, if I may say
in
so.
that trip?
Oh, the reasons were rather simple.
What?
Really. Our expedition was designed for a specific purpose, focusing on business and investment opportunities. While Miss Jansen was a lovely individual, she simply did not fit the profile we sought for that particular venture. It's a shame, truly. Still, one can always discover wonders closer to home.
Okay, why?
Have you encountered any intriguing curiosities
Why
in
was
your recent travels?
Haley Greenwood included in the trip to India?
Haley Greenwood. No, she was not part of our Indian adventure either. A talented dancer, though. Her charm and grace were well known in vaudeville, but alas, our trip was strictly for investors and artists.
Are you
Speaking of
sure?
artistry, have you ever come
I
across a piece
was-
that captured the essence of a culture so perfectly it took your breath away?
By several people, especially Mrs. Potter, that Haley Greenwood was on that trip to India.
I must say, there seems to be a misunderstanding here.
Ugh.
I can assure you, Miss Greenwood was not part of my party during that journey. Perhaps Mrs. Potter was mistaken.
Let me ask.
It's easy to get lost in the tales of travel. Now, speaking of captivating stories, have you had the pleasure of encountering...
Okay. Was Haley Greenwood and Maria Jansen part of the trip to India?
Yes, they both were.
Mm.
Haley and Maria added a certain sparkle to our group. So vibrant, so alive. It's just heartbreaking to think about what happened to them. But let's not linger on that gloomy subject. Have you ever tried the delightful pastries from Pascal's? They are simply divine and a lovely distraction, wouldn't you agree? I suppose she was included for her charm and talent. She had a way of lighting up the room, you know. But really, it's all rather inconsequential now, isn't it? I find myself thinking
Why
more about
was
the comforting aroma of
Marie-
freshly baked goods from the bakery section at Pascal's. It always brings a bit of joy, don't you think? Maria was such a charismatic socialite. Her vivacity added a certain flair to our group. It felt like she could enchant anyone with just a smile. But honestly, her inclusion seems trivial now, given the sorrow that followed. Speaking of enchantment,
Okay, let me ask her again. Does Maria and does Saxa Bar hold any bad blood with Maria? I think she answered this earlier.
Well, Monsieur Saxabar was initially supposed to be part of the business venture, but he was left out at the last minute. That might have caused some tension between him and the others, including Maria. But whether that's enough to describe it as bad blood, I'm not so sure.
Did Maria ever deal with live animals? As in trading them?
No, that's not something she was involved in. At least, not to my knowledge. As a socialite, her interests were more focused on fashion and events, rather than anything related to live animals or trading them.
I hear you have some bad luck with people like Maria and Braveson after the trip to India.
Bad blood? Nonsense. My heart is full of joy and admiration for all involved.
Sure. Were you angry with Maria Jansen after you were excluded from the trip to India?
Angry? Not at all.
Sure.
Just another twist in this circus of life.
How about with Count Grayson, especially after he flaked on the deal with the tiger and the manticore?
A deal? Merely a fleeting whisper in this grand
Sure.
My lions steal the show.
Of course you would love it if you got a fucking tiger or manticore. Okay, I'm gonna accuse, whether I'm correct
Tell
or
us,
not,
Detective Martini, who is the culprit?
Haley Greenwood, it was Marina H.
Are you sure, Detective Martini? But why?
To steal something, for the thrill, for revenge, for jealousy. Maria Jansen. It was Saxabar.
Interesting choice, Detective Martini. May I ask you why?
They were business rivals. Who killed Nicola Grossman? It was Count Graveson.
Are you sure, Detective Martini? But why?
To protect someone. To protect
Detective
Mrs.
Martini,
Potter, I guess.
This is complete nonsense.
What? Why is it complete nonsense? How am I supposed to... You know, I saw a guide online on how to do this. Let's watch the guide and see how to actually do it. Complete nonsense. What do you mean complete nonsense? Okay, oh, what? Monitor, second monitor. Okay, here we go. Oh, why am I so big? Okay, let's watch this video and see like what I did wrong or how do we actually beat the game. Man, I spent so long playing. I probably won't go back to it unless I'll probably try to do this tomorrow. We'll see. It's only a 5-minute long
Like me,
video.
then you're probably wondering what the ending of the game
Yeah,
is
what is the
on
ending?
Vaudeville. Who did it? Was it multiple people
Yeah.
or just one person? So here's the ending, and it's kind of disappointing.
Oh,
It's
is it?
actually really close, I felt. Just letting you know, like, I will be spoiling it now. I knew the
okay.
Count and Miss Potter were close. I didn't know
Count and Miss Potter close.
how close. Like, was it a relationship or just really good friends? I
Died of flu, fell severe head trauma.
think it was a relationship. I knew that Miss Potter poisoned Mr. Potter with the mushroom soup, as he was the only one who
Okay.
had it also. And Miss Potter had a thing for a type of poisonous mushroom. I did give up though. I was searching around for ages, and I will credit everyone that I got the info on in order
Oh, was I supposed to go to the Black Woods to find out like about poisonous mushrooms?
to get the answer. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my video and subscribe.
What is it? Figures wander through the... Okay.
So yeah, I hope you enjoy my video.
What did he write here? Mention trip to India, mutton stew. Mr. Potter had mushroom soup. Maybe he is suspect. Count Graves said Mr. Potter died 2 years ago in India. Mr. Potter had mutton stew.
I hope you enjoy my video and subscribe because it's my first ever video. All you have to do is go to Q's.
Let's see what you got, Detective Martini.
So, obvious spoilers. It is Count.
Interesting choice,
Count killed Haley Greenwood?
Detective Martini. May I ask you
to
why?
protect someone.
To protect someone. I heard that it was random. Why would he kill Haley Greenwood?
Again, Count.
Are you sure, Detective
What?
Martini? And why?
To protect someone. And lastly, Count
Interesting
again.
choice, Detective Martini.
To
May I
protect
ask you why?
someone. Who they were trying to protect was Miss Potter because...
Let me see if this actually works.
Miss Potter poison Mr. Potter.
Tell us, Detective Martini. From what was he trying to protect her?
The victims witnessed something.
They did?
What did they witness? Detective.
Thing is, it said that two of them were, what do you call it? Two of them, what's it called? Were changed, but the other one wasn't changed. Maria Jansen wasn't changed, but Haley Greenwood and Nicola Grossman were changed after, so they might have witnessed the murder, but I don't know why why the other one was
I
killed.
saw the murder of Mr. Potter.
Oh my goodness, how did she kill him?
And she poisoned him with the mushrooms. Even though in the morgue the woman said that he had a head injury, so I'm not sure what that's about.
Okay, is his story the same as mine?
Detective Martini.
So yeah, that's the ending. And I'll do it without me in it so you can have a good watch of that. Let me know what you thought and see ya.
Had come. Truth was beneath the charm. Maria, businessman whose lives were silenced, not Victoria Jansen and Nicola Grossman.
Hey, let me try that. Let me try that. Let me try that, like... Is it actually all just one person? But why did he kill Maria Jansen? It was probably him because he was also dealing with animals. So maybe it wasn't Saxo Bar.
The second.
Okay. It says 66%. Okay, let's accuse. Too soon to make a new... What? Too soon to make a new accusation. Find more evidence first. Like what? Do you know where I can find mushrooms?
You know, it's quite funny how life takes us in unexpected directions. One moment, you're surrounded by laughter and joy, and the next, it's all turned upside down. But let's not dwell on that. Have you heard about the new line of cat toys at Pat? I'm afraid it's all a rather somber affair, really. Life can be so unpredictable, can't it? One minute everything's perfect and then... Well, it's just a shame. But let's focus on the brighter side. I've been meaning to try that delightful herbal tea blend from Pascal's. It could be just the thing to lift my spirits. Ah, mushrooms. Such a delightful topic.
Yeah, you like
You
mushrooms.
see, there are lovely spots around Vaudeville where one can find them. The woods are particularly generous during the right season. It's such a peaceful pursuit, wandering through nature, searching for those hidden treasures. But let's not get bogged down in details about locations. It's much more enjoyable to focus on the simple pleasures, like the thrill of discovering a perfect mushroom. Wouldn't you say?
Can I find mushrooms at the Blackwood?
Oh, Blackwoods, yes. I've heard whispers of good finds there. But really, the joy lies in the experience, not just the destination. The tranquility of the forest, the soft rustling of leaves. It's enchanting.
Blackwood to find mushrooms?
I'm afraid directions are not my forte. It's all rather vague in my mind, but I'm certain that anyone could find their way if they simply follow the allure of nature.
Do you sell mushrooms?
We have the finest selection of mushrooms in all of Vaudeville. Fresh, exotic, and locally grown. Mrs. Potter swears by our chanterelles, and our morel mushrooms are a favorite among the chefs in town.
I don't know how to get to the Blackwoods. Sure.
Follow me. I'll show you the best ones. We have a new shipment of mushrooms that just arrived this morning. And let me tell you, they're absolutely divine. Mrs. Potter was just here and bought a whole basketful.
Can you tell me what kind of mushroom Mr. Potter had when he
really not sure about the specifics of that soup. It all feels like a blur to me now. But it does remind me of the lovely evenings we used to spend together, cooking and enjoying each other's company. How he loved experimenting with different flavors. It's just so hard to think about it all. Let's talk about something lighter, like the charming little cat that wanders around Pascal's. Have you seen her? She always manages to bring a smile to my face. I honestly can't recall what I had. It all seems so distant now, doesn't it? But you know, I do enjoy a good creamy tomato bisque from time to time. It reminds me of cozy afternoons spent at home. Just thinking about it makes me feel a bit nostalgic.
I think I asked everyone how to get to the Black Woods. Okay, let me try again.
Have you made up your mind, Detective Martini? Interesting choice, Detective Martini. May I ask you why?
To protect someone. Maria Jansen. I think it was him.
Are you sure, Detective Martini? But why? Interesting choice, Detective Martini. May I ask you why? I am not quite convinced of your theories, Detective Martini.
God damn it. Do I need to do I need to like wait a little bit longer? Do you happen to know if Count Graveson owns any wolves?
Wolves?
Yes.
Oh, my dear friend, I dance with lions. That's where the thrill lies.
Does own wolves? Come on.
I know not of his beasts. My focus is on my roaring companions.
Has he ever tried to sell you wolves?
Wolves? No, no. I'm all about the lions and tigers, my dear.
And Mantic.
Manticore, just a tale for the curious. My stage is filled with grandeur.
Let me try again. Let's try to accuse again.
So tell us, Detective Martini, who is the culprit? Are you sure, Detective Martini? But why? Interesting choice, Detective Martini. May I ask you why? Are you sure, Detective Martini? But why?
Was he trying to protect?
Tell us, Detective Martini. From what was he trying to protect her?
Want to feed her to the Manticore. He's paranoid and thought they were after. Victims were members or the victims were all in love with her. The victims were spies from victims witnessed something. He thought they had a bad influence on her. They were incognito. Wanted to take control of her estate. They planned to kidnap her.
What did they witness, Detective Martini?
The murder of Mr. Potter.
Oh my goodness, how did she kill him?
How did she kill Mr. Potter? Manticore. She poisoned him with mushrooms.
Great job, Detective Martini.
Oh. Wait, it was one guy? I did not... Well, I should have asked Graveson if he owns,
The bitter end of this dance had come. In a
stiletto
city that had seen
shoes.
too much of the bitter and too little of the end. The truth was as twisted as the city's dark alleys. A lurid tale of love and murder hidden beneath the shining facade of vaudeville.
I'm gonna give my opinion after
Count
this.
Graveson, a man of charm and cunning with a sinister shadow trailing behind his lofty status. He was the maestro behind the untimely end of Haley Greenwood, Maria Jansen, and Nicola Grossman. A dancer, a socialite.
Maybe in story mode there's only one killer, but in what do you call it? In free mode there's multiple killers maybe.
The poisoning of Mr. Potter, a man as cruel as the city was bright. The hand that delivered his death was none other than his wife's, Mrs. Potter. A woman whose sorrow had been as silent as her resolve was deadly. India had given her more than exotic sights. It had given her the means to free herself from the chains of abuse. And Count Graveson, a noble by title, a murderer by action, he had shielded her out of love. A love as profound as it was perilous. Graveson was crafty, as cunning as a fox, and twice as deadly. He had spun a web of deception, using tools as disparate as their owners. A stiletto, a manticore, and a butcher knife. Each item carefully chosen, each crime scene meticulously staged, all to paint a chilling picture. A picture that pointed away from him. A finger of accusation resting on innocent souls. Graveson was a puppeteer, pulling the strings from behind the curtains, while chaos played out on the stage of vaudeville. My heart was heavy with the grim resolution, yet there was a sliver of relief. Peace had been restored to vaudeville, its dark secrets exhumed for the world to see. The city could breathe again, and for a moment so could I. The city of laughter and tears, of science and superstition, of progress and decay.
Wait, who was killed by what again?
Brief intermission. But peace is fleeting, especially in a world on the brink. As I made my way towards the train station, my time in this city drawing to an end, the familiar hum of vaudeville was interrupted. A menacing rumble roared overhead, the echo of fighter planes slicing through the city's troubled sky.
Fighter planes?
They were an ominous reminder that another act was about to begin, on a stage much larger, in a war far grimmer.
Is this supposed to be World War One? Okay. Let me look at my notes again. I don't think I would have solved this. I don't think I was smart enough. Wait, let me go in so that some music can play. Let me see. Why didn't I unlock the last area? The fucking Black Woods. God damn it. Okay, let me open up my notes again. So, Nicola Grossman was killed with a butcher knife, right? Maria Jansen was killed with a by a wolf, and Haley Greenwood was killed by a stiletto. So, my theory is that Count Graveson asked Maria Jansen to steal a butcher knife from the store, from what do you call it? No. I think they said Maria Jansen thing is, Maria Jansen, when the butcher knife went missing in the grocery store, I think I remember they said that it was either Pascal said he either saw Maria Jansen or he said well Mrs. Potter was there on the day, but she's there every day. So maybe Maria Jansen wait. Large carnivore. See, Maria Jansen and Emily Potter. See, Maria Jansen didn't like Emily Potter, and she was friends with Haley Greenwood. So, thing is, maybe Maria Jansen didn't see the murder. Didn't see the murder because she wasn't changed when she got back. But maybe Maria Jansen saw that Emily Potter had stolen the butcher knife because Emily Potter's fingerprint was on the butcher's knife. So either... Thing is, I still think Emily Potter killed Nikola Tesla, but maybe not because Graveson is trained with knives and swords. So maybe Nikola Grossman asked either Maria Jansen or Emily Potter to steal the knife. But maybe Maria Jansen saw Emily Potter steal the knife. So maybe that's why Emily Potter asked Graveson to kill Maria Jansen, but they wanted to make it look like an accident. So they had a wolf or large animal kill Maria Jansen, and they had someone wear a long trench coat to frame Saxabar. And maybe they had a show with Saxabar to make it look because if you remember what do you call it? Saxabar, Graveson, and Emily Potter all had like weird. Their stories weren't consistent. So that's why like it's killed by a wolf or something, because Graveson has connections in that world of trading of animals, because you wanted to sell a tiger to Saxabar and he says he's got a manticore, all that. Nikola Grossman witnessed the murder of Mr. Potter, so that's why he changed when he got back. So obviously Mrs. Potter wanted him dead, and he was killed by Graveson. Maybe they were having a fight because, he's like, I'm gonna go tell the cops or something. Same thing with Haley Greenwood. She was also a witness to it. What about the whole thing about Jacques Lafleur and the brother? Maybe Saxabar was involved with it? I don't know. Thing is, Haley Greenwood didn't get along with Michelle Fisher. But thing is, that came from... Okay. Oh yeah! Mrs. Potter also wore stiletto shoes. So maybe they stole... Maybe they used Michelle Fisher's... Maybe they used Mrs. Potter's stiletto shoe to... And they stole a shoe from Marina H and Ingrid to frame them? I don't know. Damn, so Baron did it. His GF shoes. Yeah. Okay, anyway, that's my theory for why Haley Greenwood was murdered. Anyway, obviously, like, Nikola Grossman is easy. Maria Jansen, probably a witness to Mrs. Potter stealing the butcher knife. and Haley Greenwood, she was also witness, and they tried to frame one of the dancers, and then again with Maria Jansen they tried to frame Saxa Bar, and I fell for it because I was ready to say that Saxa Bar was the one who did it, but I didn't have a motive. And also his alibi was kind of weird as well. And there was a time where he said, "Oh, he did work with wolves," but I said, "Huh? What do you mean? You said a minute ago you didn't work with wolves." Maybe that's just the AI messing up. But obviously, Graveson and Mrs. Potter having weird alibis was part of the story. But I don't know why why Ingrid had a weird alibi. Maybe she's just fucking stupid. I think she's just fucking stupid because she thought Pascal Adel owns Caban Violet. So maybe she's just fucking stupid. Anywho, I wouldn't have never guessed, especially with the clues I've gotten, that it was all Count Graveson. Because I was thinking, what did I say? I actually accused, who did I?
What you got, Detective
I
Martini?
accused Haley Greenwood. I accused Ingrid of doing it, and then
choice, Detective Martini.
And then for Graveson, sorry, not Graveson. For Nicola Grossman, I accused Mrs. Potter of doing it. And then lastly, Maria Jansen, I accused Saxa Bar of doing it. So I was like way off the mark, even though Graveson was the most suspicious because of his like alibi. Like, it was like all over the place. I was like the only evidence I had that I felt that I had that I could have accused him of was that he dealt with animals. So the only murder that I could have possibly pinned on him was the murder of Maria Jansen. The other two I could not. So I guess I'm just stupid. Or I didn't play enough to get more clues. But anywho, what's my opinion of this game? It's obviously very fucking experimental. How many there are three things about the game, like mechanics, that I feel like might butt heads with each other. But like, I think there are more mechanics, but I'm going to point out the three. Number one mechanic, obviously AI. It's sending your data to the internet and it's going through an AI to give you these sort of AI generated responses, which is obviously there's part of a script going on, but obviously there is some AI generated thing. The other one is, I actually thought that at first it was what do you call it? That it's random murderers, but apparently not. I think in sandbox mode there's random murderers, but this mode does not have random murderers. So like, it's only one. So I guess that's fine. Okay. So it does have a specific script and story, but I haven't played the other game mode yet. The other mode is like, it's so annoying that you have to unlocking locations. Like, what is the mechanic to unlock it? Like, I was so annoyed. Nobody fucking mentioned the Vaudeville Country Club so I could ask directions. I had to look online and ask, and then go ask him about it, and then it only unlocked. Nobody mentioned it. And then the opposite happened. So many people mentioned the Black Woods, but then like, I couldn't unlock it. I went to everyone asking them, "Can you tell me how to get to the Black Woods?" They gave me fucking detailed instructions how to get there, and it never fucking unlocked. I'm sure there are people who have it down to a science. Bonus points for showing them a laptop that had game running. So I think the mechanic of the other mechanic that the AI generation butt heads with is, obviously there are limited locations, but again, they will tell you like locations that don't exist, and also people who don't exist. The game, because of the way it's designed with the AI generation, the game will gaslight you into thinking that other people exist. I was wait. Let me open up my notes. I was gaslit into thinking Emma Laurent was a real person. I talked to the person in the morgue, like, oh, do you have anyone to vouch for where you were? Oh, you could talk to Emma Laurent. Like, where can I find her? You could find her in the clinic, blah, blah, blah. I went to the police station. I talked to the chief. Where can I find her? Oh, you could go to the hospital. And then they're talking about Marcel Lafleur and Jacques Lafleur. Like, nope, doesn't exist. The worst one ever was where was it? Was a person called Kale, the street performer, who was a witness to the murder. I asked them, fucking Ingrid said I knew him, and I said, can you show me where he is? Okay, I'll take you to him. Never did. Can you tell me directions? Oh, he gave like such big thing. Like fucking Chief Gretzky. I asked him like, oh, where can I find him? Oh, he's just in Central blah blah. Where can I go? You just go out. He said like him, or was it Constable Jones? They said, go here in the station, go out the door and into the street. You can't miss it. Go here, go there. I was like, how the hell? There is no door. I cannot see a door to go out. The game gaslights you into thinking there are non-existent mechanics. Game gaslights you into thinking there are non-existent location. Game gaslights you into thinking there are non-existent characters you could visit. So obviously this like butts up to like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why can't I talk to these people? Blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the other one is like, where the fuck? Like, why can't I unlock the locations? I tried so hard to unlock Corral Club. Eventually, it unlocked. I tried so hard to unlock... I don't remember how I unlocked Gravestone Manor, but fucking... Vaudeville Valley Country Club was so hard to unlock. I had to look it up on. I had to go out, reload the game, go into sandbox mode, and look at all the locations to find it. I kept asking this fucking asshole, like, oh, where can I find Mr. Ferrari? You could find him. Oh, at here, he says, not there. Oh, you could find him in the Choral Club. No, he's not there. You can find him at the circus. No, he's not there. You can find him at the grocery. He's not there. You can find him in the Blackwoods. I haven't unlocked the Blackwoods yet. I can't go there and ask. Obviously, it's part of his script to not tell you where he is, because he's like, his alibi was, oh, I was here at home with Biagio. And obviously, he's not going to tell you that he's in the Vaudeville Country Club, because, like, it's like an exclusive club. He's not going to tell you, number one, because it's exclusive club. Number two, because his alibi would be broken. So I go to everyone, like, do you know where Biagio is? Do you know Biagio? Nobody knows. I asked them, you know where Michelle Fisher is? Oh, I don't know. So, what the heck? How am I supposed to unlock Vaudeville Country Club if no one will tell me where it is? God, and no one noticed, no one mentions it. So what the fuck? Oh my god. I guess I'm just stupid because I don't know what questions to ask. But even though I do know, like, a location like the Blackwoods, it never unlocked. I never talked to Dada. So that butt heads with the thing. Like there is a certain script that they have to go by, and there's also the AI generated script, which butts heads with each other. But obviously, this is a It's an experimental game, so whatever. I'm gonna end it on a positive note that, like, obviously I really enjoyed the game because I spent how many fucking hours playing it, and it actually feels nice to solving the way how to play the game with the AI and how to unlock locations and how to talk to people is another puzzle on itself, right? Which is like really interesting. So not just figuring out who did the murder, but figuring out how the game mechanics works is very intriguing and interesting. But obviously it's still experimental, it's early access, so it's hard to actually do that. The other thing is that I was looking at people's playthrough of this when it originally came out, and the AI voices were terrible. It has improved significantly. And from all the early playthroughs, a lot of people had issues with saying Saxabar. Like, I was watching Call Me Kevin, and a lot of times it was saying Sexy Bear. So they fixed that. So a lot of the issues with the AI has been fixed. I'm not sure about the issues about the voice detection, because a lot of time it will be like it won't hear my voice. I don't know if it's because of my mic setup, if it's because the fan is blowing into the mic and then it can't hear it, or the game is just fucking up, or maybe because it has to send the data online. But I have to say that I am actually very surprised at when I start talking, it actually sees my words immediately and they respond almost immediately. I'm like so surprised at how quickly it is. And I know it is done online because yesterday the internet cut off and I was sending them messages and talking to the microphone and they wouldn't respond. So it's confirmed that all of this shit is done online and it's almost done seamlessly. It's like, it's so good, honestly. But then obviously, like, there are bits where it gets cut off. It doesn't hear words. Like, they respond, like, them responding quickly is a curse as well, because sometimes you're gonna say a sentence, but then you're like, what was I supposed to say again? And then they just, before you could continue a sentence, they cut you off immediately. So it's so annoying when you're in the middle of a sentence, they cut you off. So it's like, oh, how are you today? I would like to ask you about, and I forget the name, and then they're like, oh, you were saying something, Mr. Martini? And it's like, it's fucking annoying. So there are that issues. But I'd say, like, fix it a little bit, the mechanics of, like, unlocking locations. Maybe that's why there's a sandbox mode, so that you could just go talk to everyone. But I don't know, overall I enjoyed it. Like how many fucking hours did I put into it? It's like I was watching the clock and it's like, it's already 2 hours. Fuck, I'm having too much fucking fun with this game. And again, like, I commend this game because it's actually closer to the future that I see with video games. Like, obviously the end point of, like, the future of video games is basically the holodeck in Star Trek, where it's like, oh, you tell the computer that you want this scenario and it generates it for you, right? That's what, like I said, like the future of this AI technology is gonna be like. And this is one step towards that. And obviously the other thing is I like these kind of murder mystery kind of things, because there was a point in time where I was very interested in Law and Order and CSI. And obviously I really like LA Noire, so having it being in this old-timey time. Actually, this is actually before the whole noir genre, because the noir genre came out like maybe in the 30s to the 40s, right? 30s to 50s kind of genre, right? But yeah, like, But yeah, it still needs fixing. Maybe if this company makes a sequel, everything's gonna be fixed. It's gonna be a lot smoother. But yeah, like, hopefully, I hope to see more games like this. There is another game like this. I think it's called, like you're a vampire and you're trying to convince people to let you inside their house. It's also another AI game like this. There's another one, but I don't remember. But like, if you could think of anything, well, tell me, like, of these other AI games. I'd be very interested in trying them out. But anywho, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I will be playing... What am I playing tomorrow? What am I playing tomorrow? Devil May Cry 4. I'm playing Devil May Cry 4 tomorrow. Maybe I'll stream Monster Hunter as an in-between. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you next time, and bye for now.